Hello, my name is Jonathan Campbell, and I'm going to go over what I'm calling animated shader interaction. Animated shader interaction really came to fruition from all the time I've spent playing Overwatch, a team-based shooter game. I quickly realized that one of the unique characters, named Hanzo, was relatively annoying to play against. He was a sniper class with a bow and arrow kit, which allowed his shots fired to have a slower time of travel than bullets, giving Hanzo the ability to essentially shoot you, and as the arrow flies, he could walk behind a wall, out of sight, out of mind. He would be dead, and you wouldn't be able to see where the enemy was. To show off this problematic scenario, here's an example of me walking into a point of interest and getting killed by Hanzo. Now I don't know where he went. Is he up here? Is he to the right? Is he in the middle? Or is he in the very left? A big attribute of playing this team-based shooter relies on our teammates' ability to relay accurate information, and this situation has essentially stripped that ability away from my tool belt. This leaves my team without enough information to enact on our next move, and therefore puts us in an unsatisfactory position. So I began brainstorming some potential fixes to this issue. So the idea I landed on was a way to create more interactive environments within game worlds. What if the arrow, or any projectile within Overwatch, interacted with stationary objects around it inside of the world? As an example, if Hanzo's arrow is shot next to a hallway, the walls would show some sort of effect on them, relaying information to me and the other players that something happened in a specific area and I needed to be cautious when moving forward. So I got to work and came up with the idea of animated shader interaction, which is a little prototype I created inside of Unreal Engine in which you can dynamically change a material depending on where you are aiming. Theoretically, this would be used for any genre of game, but for the sake of the prototype I've created it under the FPS category. For now, this is just the first pass, of course, as I have focused on setting up functions that allow just the player to interact with objects within the scene. However, the final goal aims to allow objects to interact with each other during gameplay. An example of this would be if I punched the movable basketball as you see in the image here, then the ball would create effects on the nearby stationary objects as it was traveling. In order to find success, I have broken the project into 3 discernible goals. The first one being the creation of a live unwrapping for target meshes, the second having to do with masking certain areas of the material to ensure the secondary color, or textures, comes through when applicable, and then finally to implement a way for materials to easily be placed into the game scene by people other than myself. This way, my project is accessible to as many people outside of my close circles. The first step has to do with what I'm calling live unwrap logic. We want to take a 3D object, such as this example yellow mannequin, and unfold it to make it 2D. This makes it a lot easier to paint on, such as pencil on paper. In order to do this, and with the help of professors and online tutorials, I created a function using mathematical logic to ensure that those 3D meshes properly unwrap to make a 2D texture plane I can then draw on top of. Step 2 goes into the masking system that tells the object where to paint on the secondary color. To do so, we must find the hit location of our cursor and then apply a sphere mask centered around that texture coordinate. With the mannequin example, this allows me to only display change in the dynamic position I choose. So theoretically, if a bullet flew by the torso of the mannequin, then only the torso would change material and the rest of it would stay the same. Finally, the third step takes the first and second and brings them together into one easily changeable material. The idea is that any game developer can download the project, add in whatever mesh they want, and instantly be able to play around with it. For now, I have it set up with different colors and can be customized through material instances. The material is also built out modularly, meaning you can switch out whichever texture you want within the node structure. I also made it possible to further change world position offset, which allows the mesh to appear as if it was growing. With the final step, we get to the completed idea of allowing materials to dynamically change within a game world. As for the target marketplace, I want this project to be placed on the Unreal Marketplace so that anybody with any skill levels can download it. A built-in instruction manual will be provided inside of the material so they can import animated shader interaction into the scene and be ready to go. Thank you for listening. Do we have any questions?